The night was heavy with silence. Clouds moved slowly across the sky, covering the pale glow of the moon. In a small room lit only by a single lamp, a man named Elijah sat at his wooden table, his Bible open before him. His fingers trembled as he turned the fragile pages, eyes searching desperately for answers. For months now, Elijah had been restless. The world outside seemed to be unraveling faster than he could comprehend. Nations rose against nations, violence filled the streets, families were breaking apart, and storms struck with unusual force. Every headline seemed to echo the same thing: something was coming. Something bigger than what human hands could control. But it wasn't just the chaos of the world that weighed on him, it was the emptiness inside. He had lost his job, his friends had drifted away, and his own brother hadn't spoken to him in years. The loneliness pressed on him like an iron weight. He had prayed for peace, but instead, God had left him with a burning question that haunted him day and night: was this the time? Were the signs pointing to the end? Elijah leaned over his Bible, whispering aloud as his eyes fell on the words of Jesus in Matthew 24. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, nation will rise against nation, there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. His heart thudded in his chest. The very things Jesus had spoken seemed to be happening now. The clock ticked loudly on the wall. Midnight. Elijah closed his eyes and prayed, Lord, show me, am I watching the signs you told us to? Or am I blind to your coming? Suddenly, a knock broke the silence. 3 sharp knocks at the door. Startled, Elijah stood and opened it. There stood a young woman, soaked from the rain, her face pale and frightened. She clutched a torn bag to her chest. Please, she whispered, her voice shaking. I saw your light, I didn't know where else to go. Elijah hesitated. He hardly had food for himself, let alone for a stranger. But something inside urged him to let her in. He stepped aside, and she entered, dripping water onto the floor. My name is Sarah, she said quietly. I've been running. I lost everything. My family, my home. The world feels like it's ending, and I don't know what to do. Her words cut into Elijah's soul. She was a stranger, yet she spoke the very fear that had consumed him. He offered her a towel, and as she sat, her eyes fell upon his open Bible. You read the scriptures? She asked. Yes, Elijah replied softly. I've been searching for answers. The signs, they're everywhere. Sarah's eyes welled with tears. I used to go to church as a little girl. My mother would read me verses about Jesus' return. But I never believed. Now, with everything happening, I don't know where to turn. Elijah's heart pounded. This was the moment. He turned the Bible toward her and pointed to the words of Jesus. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. For hours, the two of them sat in that small room, rain tapping against the window as Elijah read aloud the words of prophecy. They read about the fig tree budding, about the trumpet call, about the promise that the dead in Christ will rise first, and we who are alive will be caught up together with them in the clouds. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she whispered, Do you think it's too late for me? Elijah felt his chest tighten. He shook his head firmly. It's never too late. That's why Jesus said to watch. Not to live in fear, but to be ready. He came once to save us, and he will come again to take us home. All he asks is our hearts. In that moment, Sarah fell to her knees, sobbing, and prayed aloud for the first time in years. Elijah knelt beside her, and together they poured their fears before the Lord. The room seemed to fill with peace, not from the world outside, but from the presence of God himself. The storm eventually passed, but something had shifted forever. Sarah stayed, no longer wandering aimlessly. And Elijah, once a man crushed by loneliness, now found purpose, not just in watching the signs, but in leading others to hope before the trumpet sounded. As days turned into weeks, others came, neighbors who had questions, strangers who were afraid. Elijah's small home became a place of gathering, a place where people opened their Bibles and searched for the same promise, that even as the world grew darker, Christ's return was drawing nearer. And Elijah understood something he had missed before. The countdown to the rapture wasn't about fear, or setting dates, or staring only at disasters. The true sign was this, that even in the midst of despair, hearts were turning back to Jesus. People were watching, people were awakening. Late one evening, Elijah looked at Sarah, who now smiled with a light in her eyes he had never seen before. He whispered, the countdown isn't about time, it's about souls. Every moment we share Christ with someone, the clock moves closer. He closed his Bible, his heart at rest. The signs were real, yes, but the greater truth was this: Jesus had not abandoned them. He had prepared them, and so, when the trumpet finally sounds, Elijah knew he would not rise alone. He would rise with Sarah, with his neighbors, with every soul who found light in the darkness. That was the power of prophecy, not to terrify, but to remind them that hope has a name. So, if you are listening to this now, remember, the signs are all around us. They are not meant to crush us with fear, but to awaken us to faith. Watch, be ready, and let your heart be filled not with despair, but with the blessed hope that Jesus is coming soon. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, for sometimes the story you hear today may be the very sign you've been waiting for.